G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And anybody initially watching this is probably wondering why on earth I'm comparing an old automatic 105 kilowatt Mercedes C-180 compressor with a fairly modern manual transmission 162 kilowatt high revving Honda Accord Euro R. And well, to be honest, I am too. But hey, we traded this really nice Mercedes C-180 compressor, and while it's not particularly powerful and has an automatic transmission, it is a very nice example. And for my European viewers who are used to seeing cars like this very regularly, I thought it might make for an interesting comparison to see how a 2006 Mercedes C-Klasse, which I suppose is the sort of Accord Euro competitor, compares with this channel's favourite car, the Accord Euro itself. In terms of exterior styling, I happen to quite like the way this generation C-Klasse looks. I'd describe it as a very pretty car, but it definitely is looking a little bit more dated, especially when compared with the Accord Euro, which has aged extremely well. Moving on from the exterior, where these cars are relatively similar, this is where things start to become quite different. This has got a 1.8 litre supercharged inline 4 making 105 kilowatt and 220 Newton meters. It's paired up with a 5-speed automatic with power going to the rear wheels. The Honda, on the other hand, has a K20A, a 2 litre inline 4 making 162 kilowatt and 206 Newton meters, going through a 6-speed manual transmission with a limited slip diff to the front wheels. But one major advantage with this Mercedes is that you can have it with a little itty bitty 4-cylinder like this, making around 100 kilowatt. If you move up to one of the V6 models, now you're talking about 150, 160 kilowatt, and you can even get this with a 5.5 litre V8, whereas Honda really only puts 4 bangers under the bonnet of the Accord Euro. The interior of this Mercedes is really surprisingly nice. It's a bit old manny in here, but at least the build quality is excellent. The steering wheel feels very nice, has a nice firm leather. The indicators feel good, although they have an awful lot of travel like a bus. It's got cruise control, which is extremely easy to use, and all of the center stack down here, the buttons feel lovely. It's all very easy to use. It's all very snappy. It responds quickly to your inputs. I like the way the gauges look. They show lots of useful information. You've got front and rear parking sensors, and I love the way Mercedes does it, where they have a visual aid up here on the dash, and you can see it on the roof there in the rear view mirror. I do really like sitting in the interior of this car. The Accord betters the Mercedes in the seating compartment, whereby while these aren't as comfortable, they definitely hold you in a lot better thanks to them having more aggressive bolsters. The steering wheel on this feels really nice to use and gives a very sporty driving experience, and the transmission in typical Honda fashion just has that beautiful clunkiness through it. However, in pretty much every other regard, that Mercedes is better. Buttons are nowhere to be found on the steering wheel of this car. It doesn't have auto lights and wipers, whereas that does. The gauges on this only show your odometer, your trip and your outside temperature, compared with the myriad of things that you can do over there on the Mercedes. The central screen here is all in stick language. And while I do have more confidence that things will continue working on the inside of this car, except my little fuel consumption screen up here, the Mercedes definitely has an air of solidity and quality on the inside, which I love. And frankly, if I just wanted a daily driver, I'd rather spend my days in the interior of that car. Ich habe die Mercedes-Benz C180 Kompressor fahren und es sehr gut ist. I apologise to all the Germans, I probably totally botched that. It's been 5 years since I took German at Newlands College, but what isn't botched is the driving experience of this Mercedes. It's not fast, and the transmission is sloppy to say the least, but the steering feel is excellent, and the ride quality is masterful. But again, the whole experience unfortunately is very much let down by the 4-cylinder engine. If you're used to Honda engines which rev and make a zingy noise, this, even despite the supercharger, feels no more torquey than any Honda I've driven with a 2-litre-ish engine. Certainly doesn't sound anywhere near as good and just dies at the top end, man. But I promised I'd leave the engine out of it, because the rest of this car I have been very much surprised by. I love the way the steering feels. It is so easy to place this car on the road. It's the perfect amount of weight. You can rev match downshifts with the transmission, which does make it a lot more fun. The handling is excellent, really good, very well balanced. It doesn't feel nose heavy, and because it's not particularly powerful, you spend all of your time foot to the floor, which is also extremely fun. But just look at the way it turns through here. it just clings on beautifully well, and it's quiet. We've matched downshift. Oh yes. Very, very quiet, smooth, refined driving experience. I guess just the only thing it needs is more power. That took quite a long time to get to 100. While the Mercedes has significantly more powerful options in the upper echelon of the C-Class from that era, if you're just looking for a kind of mid-spec 4-cylinder car, the Honda has you well covered. And just the handling. Limited slip diff, and Honda has definitely proven to the world that front-wheel drive can be fun. The Merc really needs to be rear-wheel drive to make it good. One of those cars with a significantly more powerful engine would be a really, really well-balanced and fun car to drive that's still extremely comfortable and nice to drive. But I guess the thing with the Honda is that it's kind of fun to drive regardless of what engine you have, you know. So to summarize, the bonuses with going with the Merc is that it is a much quieter, much nicer riding car with more features, especially given it is a older design than the Accord Euro, and it still handles really well. It's got a lovely steering feel and it's very smooth. Where the Honda Accord sits in the Merc lineup, I suppose, with these sort of more powerful 4-cylinders and coming into some of the lower power V6 models, in that band I would say that the Accord is a better car. And if you get a Euro R like this in particular, man, the K20A is just an insanely fun engine. And if you want to see some more videos that I have done with my old silver Accord and now with this Accord Euro R, then click on the links popping up right about now, and I will look forward to seeing you again next time.